There's been a lot of shakeup with the Spurs roster. How is that impacting your San Antonio Spurs basketball card collection?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hey, happy hump day. Hopefully your work week is going all right, and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But what are we talking about today? Look, there's been a lot of shakeup with the Spurs roster. Lonnie Walker is gone. Dejounte's gone. What about Josh Primo? He likely could see a rise in minutes next season. And KJ got paid. My point is there's been a lot of fluctuation with the roster. How has this been impacting your Spurs basketball card collection? We're going to get into that. We're going to basketball card nerd it up on this episode of Locked On Spurs. And thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. So, I could not handle this topic without bringing the man, the guru. If there's anything you know about just the card world, from Marvel comic cards to DC comic cards, and then your Spurs and NBA cards, he is the man. He is Joshua Cook. Follow him on Twitter at Joshua R. Cook. And if you ever want to visit his booth, he is at the San Antonio Collectors Expo, and I'm pretty sure he'll talk all about that later on the show. Josh, welcome back to Locked On Spurs.
Jeff, great to be back.
Yeah. You are the go-to guy for me. If I have a basketball card question or just a trading card question, you are the guy. Look, you've been on Locked On Spurs before, but it's been a minute since you've been on. How did you get into collecting? Why is it such a passion for you?
I got into collecting back in the 80s when I lived here over on the Northwest side. And, I've been a fan ever since, been following the market ever since. And, still enjoy it, still enjoy being out with my fellow hobbyists. And the market has changed. The collection of what we're doing these days is grown by leaps and bounds from 40 years ago or so.
As a matter of fact, I think by tomorrow, Josh is going to get a set of basketball cards that he bought off of me. And I'm probably going to regret it, Josh, when you tell me, hey, thanks for the Manu Ginobili card that's worth $1,000. I appreciate that. So try not to rub it in my face, Josh, if that happens.
Hey man, I'm hoping that you snuck something in there, like a diamond encrusted basketball or something like that.
Hey, look, a lot of Spurs fans are going to be eager to know, at least those that have basketball cards, Spurs themed. They're out there. They're out there. There's a lot of San Antonio Spurs card collectors, but let's talk about just the overall NBA. We'll save the Spurs talk for segment 2, but what are you seeing with NBA cards of late? You have LeBron James still going on, Kevin Durant, some of the big hitter names. Zion is back. How is the market looking right now? It's just overall NBA basketball cards.
Overall market is good. It's the off season, so things have settled a little bit market wise. But people are starting to put an eye on, okay, so preseason's coming up in October. So there's some moves that, the market's making on who they think is going to be performing well, who's going to be taken this year and taking it to the next level. And there's some Spurs players that are going to be doing just that. We just had the national card show, which is the annual once a year get together for everybody in the hobby up in New Jersey. So that show went off well. There was a bunch of money trading hands, a bunch of cards trading hands. It's great to see all the hobbyists get together, post the early days of the pandemic. So it was nice to be together again.
That's a good question. How much did the pandemic impact the industry as a whole without having to have in-person conventions, not be able to swap cards, trade cards, sell cards, buy cards? I mean, how bad was it?
The hobby always adapts. And so I would say that the pandemic actually had an interesting effect on the hobby. what you had was a bunch of people, myself included, that started working from home or were at home more often, and they started cleaning out closets and finding card collections that they previously, thought were gone, missing, had forgotten about, or worthless, or something along those lines, and they dusted them off and got back into it. And then on top of that, you had a bunch of folks that were receiving those pandemic checks. So, if you all recall, there was times where people were getting, upwards of, I don't know, $500-600 a month or something like that. Well, that money, a lot of that money went into hobby. People were buying cards. And so you saw prices like February 2021, I want to say, where was like a high rise for card prices. I mean, it just got out of hand almost. So I mean, the market adapted, the hobby adapted, and we're moving on from those days. You'll still see a bunch of folks that are coming from, or will tell stories about that's how they got back into the hobby for after years of being gone.
So, with now that the market, at least at this point, is back to in-person conventions, took a big, a bit of a jump during the pandemic, as you mentioned, people got back in the hobby. What are some non-Spurs cards that seem to be kind of a thing right now, that are a buzz right now? Is it Zion because he's back on the court? Is it going to be, a Paolo Banchero? Is it going to be a Dejounte Murray, who's technically not a Spur anymore, who's now in Atlanta? What are some cards that you're noticing right now that are on the rise? And we'll touch on the Spurs in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I think Zion is a buy right now. We're waiting to see what he does health wise, and I mean he's still got an incredible capability. We'll see what he does, but I think that his market tanked when he was injured and sitting out. So I think he's certainly somebody to look at. Hall of Famers are always a good bet. You with the recent passing of Bill Russell. Rest in peace to that one. Great athlete. We're seeing his prices rise. The Hall of Famers are always the go-to for investment purposes. I mean, you can always watch them rise over the years. Me personally, you'll give me a little bit of flack on this one, but the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. I think those players, so in their autos, especially on-card autos of both of them together, I think that there's a market for that that's still underappreciated. When all is said and done, you can always go to the GOATs like those guys like Michael Jordan. Newer players, I don't do a whole lot. There's too much speculation. I want to see folks that have won championships. A lot of the market will play that speculation game and throw a bunch of money at brand new rookies that have proven little to anything. Anthony Edwards, there's a lot of speculation about what he's going to do. And a lot of money thrown at him. Good player, and we'll see. Time will tell if he's not only him, but if he's on the right team to make multiple runs at championships that would cause his cards to have a value over time.
I gotta ask you the opposite of that is which player cards are you seeing right now that are on the decline?
So. The jury's out on Lonnie Walker. We'll see what he does in LA. He signed a 1-year contract. I think that they're giving him an option. Hopefully he proves his worth and has got some staying power there. We've seen over the last year and a half the decline of his cards. And now that he's over there, we'll see. It's certainly you're not going to see Spurs players buying him. You might see Lakers fans, but he's got an uphill battle to climb to be on a market like that, and he's got to really start shooting. He's got to play some really good defense over for his market to come back.
What about Dejounte Murray now with Atlanta?
I think what you're going to see with Dejounte is I think him and Trae Young are going to play real well together, and I wish him the best, as I do with Lonnie or anybody that's gone through the Spurs organization. Right. But I think that he's really going to shine this year. Him and Trae together, that's there's going to be spotlight, and if Trae does well, then Dejounte is going to be doing well just because by association. And so I think that there's some room for upward mobility on his market.
Awesome. Yeah. See what I told you all, everybody? Josh knows his stuff when it comes to the trading card world. Or in this case, we're limiting him to basketball, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick his brain with some nerd stuff later on the show. We're talking about Josh Cook. He is our go-to guy when it comes to the world of trading cards. And make sure to follow him on Twitter at Joshua R. Cook. And he's going to tell you all about the San Antonio Collectors Expo, where to catch up with him and maybe bring your haul with him to him and let him take a look at what you got. But when we get back, we're going to dive into your Spurs now. There's been a lot of player movement and maybe some players on the rise. Who does Josh believe that Spurs fans should start scooping up some Spurs trading cards specifically? Is it Josh Primo? We'll find out. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, live in-game betting, scores, podcasts. They got you covered. Hey, you want to see what the Spurs title odds are for next season? Do you really want to go there? Well, you can definitely check it out. Go to betonline.net. Head to BetOnline today. Use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. We're back with Josh Cook right here on Locked On Spurs. He is our go-to guy when it comes to the trading card world. And I mean that. You pick a genre within the trading card business, whether it be NBA, NFL, comic cards. Yes, there are comic-based cards. He is our go-to guy. Follow him on Twitter at Joshua R. Cook. All right, Josh, time to dive into some silver and black. That's what everybody's here for. They have their collection in front of you. They just saw Dejounte leave. He's still wearing that Spurs uniform, perhaps in their collection. Should they still hang on to that card?
Go Spurs, go Por Vida. Yeah, I would say absolutely. If you've got cards of former Spurs players, they're still playing wherever. Yeah, I think that there's still, given the quality of the program that Coach Pop and the rest of his team have got going on here. I mean, those players oftentimes will, from that core basics that they get out of here, go on to do other things around the league that are impressive. So yeah, absolutely hold on to them, especially if they're rookie cards. So if you're holding Dejounte rookie cards right now, you're in a good spot, I would tell you.
Even a Lonnie Walker in a Spurs uniform, because you were kind of sour on him in the previous segment.
Yeah, he's a bet. He's like you were just talking about, with the promo you just did. If you're a gambler, if you want to bet a little bit, there is, the market is probably soft on Lonnie right now, so you could probably scoop up some cards fairly cheap, and perhaps they pay off. Right. And who knows what the Lakers are going to do this year. And because of Anthony Davis and LeBron getting more bench time, maybe that gives an opportunity for Lonnie to step up and show his worth. Who knows?
Okay, it's Josh Primo. He is projected to see a tremendous spike in minutes next season, perhaps be the Spurs starting point guard. Where are you at when it comes to the basketball trading card world on a Josh Primo rookie card or a first-year card? Where do you project his stock as far as his card is concerned?
So early on, I was I was very bullish on Primo. I'm probably even more bullish on Primo now. I think that what we're going to see is different combos of players I think Pop's going to test out, who's working best with each other, and you're going to see a lot of rotations, and you're going to see a lot of ball movement, and so Primo is going to be key to that, to being a playmaker, and I think him and Keldon will feed off each other well, and Devin as well. So I think that he's going to be a core member in the mix, and he's a young guy. So he's got a lot of upside on what he can do on the court. He's got a lot of upside on his market as well. So I bought in early on some key cards. I moved one of my major ones at the last show, the last big show here in San Antonio. I'm holding on to solid 5 of them right now.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned Keldon Johnson. He'll likely become the new go-to guy, the face of the roster. I mean, he's getting paid like a star, for at least for the team. Had himself an okay last season. It was good. I mean, in the second half of the season, his 3-point shot fell. He really was starting to average close to around 20 points per game, slow out of the gates. But how are Keldon Johnson cards holding right now, knowing that he is now the face of this team?
I think Keldon's a buy right now. Here's why. Last season, he was dialing in a little bit. He had shown, some capability early on in his career, his NBA career, of being able to drive. Now that it seems like he's locked in on, a 3-point shot. So he's building his arsenal out. I think this year, with his increased strength, he's going to be a playmaker. So that'll put him in the limelight, and you'll really see him shine there. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him. I think that his market will rise. So previously, last year, I mean, we saw his cards kind of drop off a little bit. I mean, he wasn't the shiny penny. The hobby had moved on from him. His market cooled off a bit. Now I think that you're going to see some smart investors put into some of his higher end cards and watch those rise as his playing abilities are shown on the court, really highlighted on the court. Like you said, he's playing a lead role, and he'll be a playmaker on the court for others, not just getting the ball and taking it to the hoop or shooting from outside. But you'll see him passing, and that's going to be exciting to watch. So, he'll be in a playmaker role as well.
A couple more Spurs questions, and we got some more Spurs basketball card questions in the final segment, but this will be the last question before we take that break here. Devin Vassell, is his card kind of under the radar right now? Because he looks more primed to take a big leap next season. What is his card stock looking at right now?
I think that right behind Keldon, I would place Devin as far as like this season and making in big leaps as far as their card market. He packed on like 20, 30 pounds a month or something like that. I mean, the guy's
he
looking
beefed
like
up.
a beast. Mm-hmm. So I think that you're going to see, like I said earlier, the different combos of players working together, and feeding off of each other, helping each other create those plays. Devin's going to be strong in that mix, and he's going to be a go-to guy, expected to put points on the board. So it's going to be fun to watch. So what that means to me is that I don't see a whole lot of movement on his cards, and I haven't in a little while. But I mean, that's a prime time. This is the fun of the hobby, right? You're watching a core group of young professionals get together, dial it in, feel it out, and the Spurs market for cards is an absolute buy right now.
All right. Well, we're not done asking Josh some Spurs basketball card related questions. When we get back, we're going to ask him about NFTs as well as the Spurs newest rookies, the trio, and whether Spurs fans should start buying into their card. So yeah, a lot more to talk with Joshua Cook right here on Locked On Spurs. We're back with Josh Cook. He is our go-to guy when it comes to Spurs, NBA, just overall trading card news and notes. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Joshua R. Cook. All right. The Spurs got themselves 3 rookies, Sohan, Branham, and Blake Wesley. I think I know we're going to answer this question, saying it's too speculative, but let's start with Sohan. You know, he was a number 9 pick, top 10. How are you feeling the rookie cards right now for those 3 guys? All right, Spurs fans, this is probably the point of the show that you were looking forward to and trying to figure out how to win those tickets to go see the anime debut of Inu coming out this Friday out in San Antonio. So you made it this far in Locked On Spurs, time to tell you how you can win them. So first of all, you got to be in San Antonio, obviously. Also, you have to go and pick up the tickets at an address that I'll provide to you once I pick a winner. So yeah, you'll get that address once I get your entry. So once again, it's for this Friday, August 12th, Inu. It'll be either at the Palladium or at Casablanca Santikos, one of the 2 theaters. Nevertheless, it's a family 4-pack. 4 tickets, 2 large popcorns, 2 large drinks, VIP tickets, that is. So yeah, you're going to get the full red carpet treatment. All right. So obviously, you know, here are the rules. So first of all, you got to follow me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. I got to know if you're following me, so you know that you're entered. So you want to tweet at me and at Kens5, which is at Kens5 on Twitter, that I provide the best San Antonio Spurs coverage, and everyone should only follow me for Spurs coverage. It's got to be in that tweet. In that same tweet, you got to tell me your favorite anime with a photo or a GIF of that anime. Again, the movie is Friday, so I'll pick a winner sometime on Thursday. So it's about Thursday afternoon where I'll pick a winner. So once I get everybody who tweeted me, then I'll get all those tweets that followed the instructions carefully and then randomly pick a winner from those tweets. So good luck to you. There you have it. So hopefully whoever wins gets to enjoy Inu anime this Friday. And you know what? And just to be nice, I'll repeat those instructions one more time. Follow me on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Once you do that, tweet at me and at Kens5, which is at Kens5 on Twitter, that I provide the best San Antonio Spurs coverage, and everyone should only follow me for Spurs coverage. And in that same tweet, give me the name of your favorite anime with a photo or a GIF of that anime. Once again, good luck.
So we're in the off season right now. The main cards products have dropped. That being, you know, National Treasures, Flawless, and Prism. What you don't have in those sets are that have dropped. You don't have the new rookie class represented yet, and so we're going to have to wait until early next year for those guys to have any serious cards. There's some stuff with them where you can get autos, but it's really not for me, and you know, investment purposes, or you know, want to do something with, hold on to long-term value. Those aren't the cards that I'm picking up right now. What that offers is, you know, a little bit of time for those players to feel their way through the system, so that we can watch them playing in the NBA and see, you know, who's getting the playing time. That's going to be key. And who's really proven themselves on the court, putting up points. And so that'll drive their market. Right now, Sohan has got some decent numbers that I'd be looking at as pickups as soon as the new products come out next year.
Right. Yeah. You know, I look at you send me them. I know. By the way, I'm very thankful that you send me the information when you come across things on eBay or just collection area. And we got to dive into Manu Ginobili. He two things with him. One, he's about to enter the Hall of Fame. So just in a few short weeks. And Panini one of the leading trading card companies, released the first ever Manu NFT. So I guess I got to ask you, how are Manu basketball cards looking like right now as he's about to enter the hall? And where do you stand with just NFTs in general? The Spurs have done one with Popovich already. We just talked about the Manu NFT for Panini. So we'll take a one by one. Start off with Manu basketball cards as he's set to enter the Hall of Fame.
Huge Manu fan. I mean, wow, what a player. I think he's underrated. When I see these lists of top 100 all time, etc. I think oftentimes the trio is underrated, and Manu certainly. I'm a huge fan, and I think that he's got some really cool cards from his rookie year out there. In fact, I've got an order that just came. The grades on them just popped. And one of them is a Bowman auto signature of Manu. I think it's numbered to like 999. That I'm literally dying to get off this call so I can go check what the grade is on it, Jeff. I'll share it with you via Twitter afterward. Those are for me. Those are like long-term investments. Like I'm holding those. There's no way I'm putting those things up for sale anytime soon. If at all. I think those are things to pass on to my kid or to share with my hobby friends of like, check this out, it's so cool. And there's a lot of hardcore Spurs collectors like that there's no movement on their heirloom pieces, as it were, their treasures.
Again, I think I'm going to regret it. There's a definitely. Well, I sent you a picture of it. There's a Manu card in there in the box I sent you. So don't rub it in too much when you're swimming in cash. And I was here being dumb about it. But
I knew there were some treasures in there, Jeff. I knew there was.
All right. Well, let's get into the NFT talk. Before we recorded, you did tell me that you're not too keen on it. But how is the NFT world now impacting the trading card world, if at all? What are your opinions on it? And do you think it's something that's going to be here to stay?
Yeah, so I follow Web3 technologies fairly closely, to include things like cryptocurrency and NFTs. What I've noticed with the NBA in particular, there's a number of efforts underway, and what I don't see is some kind of connective tissue amongst a few key things. And so if I could offer a piece of advice to the Spurs, I'd love to talk to them more about this, of what they're doing with NFT drops, and they've got to connect it to player experience. I mean, I get it. There's NFT, and it's a piece of art, and maybe it's serialed, so it's got some sort of rarity value to it. But really, what am I going to do with it? What's it tied to? Why do I have it? Why do I want to spend my money on it? If it's tied to, getting things because I'm a super fan, so I've got like a player experience associated with it, or some sort of status associated with it, then that may be enough of an incentive for me to, change my investor habits or my purchasing habits. If they're trying to drive a market toward NFT collections. Otherwise, I'm a fan of, hey, I've got my cards. I can hold my cards, and I can easily show my friends I've got possession of them. But I just don't. I don't know. I haven't made that mental leap to, okay, yeah, it makes sense for me to start purchasing NFTs of any team or thing, let alone Spurs. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe digital card collecting is the way of the future, and I should be investing in them now. But I don't know. I'm not an early adopter just yet.
Well, I'll tell you a little story here. When the NBA dived into the whole NFT world through the Top Shot program, the NBA actually reached out to me years ago when they really said to become at least for the year one launch, to be the Spurs NFT ambassador for fans. And so I did a year, promoting it and talking about it. And at the end of that time, they said, okay, well, here's your options. You can either you get an X amount of money for your time, or hey, take that said money and buy yourself some NFTs on us. Don't worry about it. So I took that route, and it actually paid off. Um, there was one time I logged into my what do you call those e-wallets or something like the NFT wallets? I think that's what they call it. And didn't even know somebody made an offer for an NFT I owned for like about $400. So I took it. I mean, said sure, why not? What am I going to do with it? Like you said, and I don't physically have it. So yeah, I see that side, but I also see the side of the traditional, holding on to that piece of paper, that card stock, being able to access it in real time and physically in front of you. And there's just the joy of just opening up a fresh pack, literally, not virtually. So I get it. It works both ways. But yeah, there's so many things we could talk about here on this episode of Locked On Spurs with Josh Cook when it comes to just Spurs basketball cards, NBA cards, football cards in general. But one thing that he told me and brought to my attention is there actually are comic trading cards, like Superman trading cards, Daredevil trading cards. What's the latest in that field? Is it really booming because of the whole MCU, DCEU, just the whole film industry going superhero movies?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It absolutely is booming. And if we think about it, it should be. It should probably be bigger than any of the sports, because there's longevity of the characters. Meaning, when did Superman first come around? I mean, you're talking, earlier than when the NBA was around or created. So in that regard, they've got the characters have a longer kind of shelf life, as it were, and have spanned multiple generations. So yeah, what I've gotten into, and they're still being put out today, and it's they've got similar characteristics to the sports card world, though they've got different features as well. I'm looking into vintage comic cards, so I go down various paths. Like my latest one was I picked up bunch of like 1979 Cracker Jack trading stamps of superheroes. Like, you could get these in the Cracker Jack box, you get these prizes, and some of them were superhero stamps. So they're pretty rare. And then, lately I've gotten into some early 80s Marvel superheroes, the Secret Wars, if you remember that kind of spin. And so I literally got a bunch of mail today. I love Mondays because it's, mail day. Everything's like stacked up from the weekend. So I got a bunch of packages. And so I'm messing around with stamps these days of superheroes.
Wow.
Pretty cool stuff. I get to nerd out, look at it.
Well, you're talking to perhaps San Antonio's nerd right now, because my goodness, I may like movies, which I love, and TV series. I'm a big movie guy. It doesn't have to be superhero related, sci-fi. I just like movies and critiquing them. So I always appreciate you, Josh, coming on Locked On Spurs, giving us the skinny when it comes to the world of trading cards and much, much more. But if you have yourself a stack of cards tucked away somewhere, or you want to start getting into the hobby, there is the San Antonio Collectors Expo. Josh is a frequent person. He has his booth there. Tell us about the Expo. When does it happen? Where does it happen? How often? What can fans expect should they go and visit you at the booth and visit the Expo?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. You can find information at San Antonio or sacollectorexpo.com. The next show, and that happens 4 times a year. This is the big show for San Antonio. Happens 4 times a year. It's at the Shrine Auditorium usually. It's a full weekend event, very family friendly. So bring the kiddos out there. There's probably 70, 80 booths. Spans all sports, comics, the whole 9 yards, all sorts of collectibles, all sorts of fun to be had, food during lunch. The next show is at the end of September. I think it's the 24th and 25th of September. In the meantime, there's a monthly show that is downtown at the Herman Brothers building. That you can, it's a smaller show, you get about 20 or so vendors, a couple bucks to get in, again, family friendly, spanning sports and Pokemon, the whole nine.
Yeah, I loved hearing and watching stories on the YouTube about people selling their Pokemon cards for just these ungodly numbers. It's like, what? Like, you know, a Charizard, you know, first edition goes for X amount. I'm like, whoa, why didn't I get on that train years ago? But nevertheless, yeah, fun time. The San Antonio Collectors Expo. And if you have questions about that, or, you know, why not just hit up Josh and talk to him about your card collection or getting into the hobby, you can let him know on Twitter at Joshua R. Cook. We thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, get up to date on the latest news and rumors in the NBA in just 30 minutes every day with Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA is your daily NBA update in just 30 minutes. And subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, the Locked On Spurs YouTube page, Cans 5 YouTube page. Yes, Josh, everybody also on the Cans 5 Plus app. They're listening to you right now. So if you want to say hello to them right now, Josh.
Go Spurs, go.
There you go. See, there you go. That was shout out to all your Cans 5 Plus app users, and that's another way they can check out Locked On Spurs. So for Josh Cook, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.